Broadcasting from the studios of WKEN, where every day is the weekend. It's the Ken Calvert Show with your host, Ken Calvert. And if you have anything nice to say about him, keep it to yourself. And now, here's Ken Calvert.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Ken Calvert Show, coming to you live from the casual studios of WKEN, where every day it's the weekend. By the way, if you wouldn't mind, would you hit me with your best shot? Fire away. No, hit me with a like on Facebook. Where did that come from? From the top. By the way, if you wouldn't mind, would you see I have this little script to remind myself to do these things. So get out of your own way, Ken. By the way, if you wouldn't mind, would you hit me with a like on Facebook at the Ken Calvert Show fan page? I post every day with your On This Date classic rock memories. And you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple iTunes. And to your Alexa skill, we are up on Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeart, and Radio.com, and all the usual places, and I thank you in advance. And finally, follow me on Twitter, please, at Ken Calvert Show. At Ken Calvert Show. Coming up today, I have an interview I did with Stevie Nicks just a few years back when she released her first solo record. First one in a long time, 2001. Now, this goes back to 2011, so it was 10 years. It's called In Your Dreams. I used to hear that one a lot. In Your Dreams. But before we get to Stevie Nicks, I have to tell you about today, this morning. Well, I'm just getting back from getting my haircut, or as my Dad used to say, getting a few cut. Bada boom, bada bing. I see what you did there. Pull my finger, please. My barber, or should I say stylist, great guy. Been going to him for 20 years. Probably more like 25, yeah. His name's Chet, but everybody calls him Cheddar. How you doing there, Cheddar? So Cheddar's a big rock guy, a little bit older than me, but not by much. And he loved old Detroit venues like the Grandie and Bookies and so many others like Cobo Arena for the big shows. You know, we're always doing that. Oh, I love that show. That was a great place. Did you go to that show? Didn't go to that show. Went to that show. That show was awesome. Loud. No, really long, yeah. So it's true what they say about a person that cuts your hair or styles your hair. You can tell them anything. They won't tell anybody else. You can talk about your health, your job, your family, virtually anything. Anyway, I think the place I go to is called, it's got a cute name to it. I used to go see him at a place called A New You. I always thought if I owned a salon that I would call it something like Hairs to You. You know what I mean? You like that? Hairs to You? I think it's pretty funny. How about Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow? I think that's huge for guys like me losing their hair. See? Hair Today, welcome to Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow. Answering the phone. Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow. Yeah, I'd like to make an appointment with Cheddar. What time? Oh, he's booked. Anyway, getting back to my haircut. The place I go to now. No, I think they all do for the most part. They have those black sinks that are weird because it's cut out for your head to fit into when you lean back, and you're always staring back up at the person as they put what appears to be a garden hose over your face with the full throttle type thing on it. And they always the water's always either too cold or too hot, and then they get it just right. And then they lather you up. And I'm always kind of glad when that part's over. But the worst part is coming, because that's what I call the hair perp walk. That's when you have to walk back to your chair with your cape on and your wet hair. And then the game is on, man. Now, if you're like me, you're constantly watching to make sure that guys like Cheddar, the person cutting your hair, doesn't get carried away. You kind of go into that panic mode. You know, that not too much now. Don't take off too much. And he gives you that look like, I want to kill you right now, shut up. And they get a little miffed if you start coaching them from the chair, if you know what I mean. So you got to be careful how you do that. This place I go to has floor-to-wall windows all the way around it. They're kind of like mirror on the outside, and you can see out perfectly. But pulling up, you see a reflection of your car parking, that deal. You know what I'm talking about. And there's a huge Cineplex right next door. I mean, it's right on top of it. It's got like 16 screens and a parking lot the size of like the Pontiac Silverdome. And I'm there at 8:30 in the morning, and by 9 o'clock, the parking lot is filling up quickly. So I checked to see what time Rocket Man is showing. Get this, Rocket Man is showing at 10 a.m. So I'm thinking, wow, Calvi, you can have a Bloody Mary and a horse bucket of buttered popcorn and some Milk Duds and still have the entire day, because Rocket Man is only 2 hours. I didn't do that, but I hear, and based on the parking lot, non-scientific survey, Rocket Man is huge. It's really huge, and I hear it's great. Okay, to end my haircut follies, I have saved the best to last. Or at least I hope it's the best, okay? Now, I don't try and fool anybody anymore about my age. I am 67, and I look every bit of it. But Cheddar has decided that I need a little color. Just makes everything look a little better, he says. And he goes so far as to say, and it even makes the hair a little thicker. Easier to work with, he tells me. So he puts on something that to me looks like a brownish bisque, like a really bad soup, okay? And it's got an aroma to it, and he starts painting my hair, literally painting it. Then we wait, and then we wait some more. And I feel like an idiot, but after what feels like forever, we head back to those U-shaped sinks and another ride in the dunk tank. Finally, it's time to wrap her up. You get out the hair dryer and all the stuff, right? All that goes on. But while it's all going on and I'm sitting there with the bisque on my head, I'm starting to think about what I'm going to post for you today. And I remembered that I had this Stevie Nicks interview that I just found last week. So I settle up with Cheddar, and I head to the studio to regale you, my friends, with my haircut story while it was fresh. If I was into selfies, I'd take a picture and show you. But I'm not, so I won't do that. Now, this interview goes back to 2011. The album is called In Your Dreams. Stevie Nicks, 7th studio album by the Fleetwood Mac vocalist. It was released on May 3rd, 2011. It is her first studio album since 2001. That album was called Trouble in Shangri-La, and also coincides with the 30th anniversary of the release of her solo album, Belladonna. What a great album that was. On May 11, 2011, Billboard announced that the album had sold 52,500 copies in its first week. That is really, really good. That gave Stevie her 5th top 10 album on the charts. The album spent a total of 16 weeks within the Billboard 200 and sold 200,000 copies in the U.S. Now, I want you to pay special attention to the part where I discovered the track Secret Love was written all about me. That's right. So let's get started. Let's not waste any more time. I want you to have a great day. We will chat real soon. And ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to Stevie Nicks. Ken Calvert, and a great opportunity for me to introduce you to my new best friend, Stevie Nicks. And I can also introduce you to her new single at the same time. It's called Secret Love. And Stevie, tell me a little bit about the song.
It's very old. It's the oldest song that I can remember writing after joining Fleetwood Mac. It was written somewhere in 1976, I'm pretty sure. And at the end of this summer, when Dave Stewart and I were working away recording at my house, I just had a little brain moment where I flashed on that cassette that said Secret Love, and I started going, come on, it's time to go upstairs. I don't want to be leaving you here. I can't go be in that room alone when I know that you're down here in tears. I am not asking forever from you. And I thought, wow, that was a good song. I better find it. So I sent my sister-in-law Lori home to look for it. She couldn't find it. We found it on YouTube. Thrilled, kind of not thrilled. Thrilled that it was somewhere, not thrilled that it was on YouTube, and I didn't know it was on YouTube. But thank goodness it was, and I was able to pull it up, and I showed it to Dave and Glenn Ballard, and they both said, so where's this little gem been hiding? And I said, it's just been in a box somewhere in Phoenix, actually, and I don't really know why I never offered this up to Fleetwood Mac, because this was obviously written right after the Fleetwood Mac record. It had to be, and before Rumors. So this was probably a song that should have gone on Rumors. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I didn't play it for them because they never heard it. You know, you look at those years in songwriting for me, from 1973 till 1980, you know, those were really the very, very high-powered Fleetwood Mac writing years, because some of the songs that were written between 73 and 75 when we joined Fleetwood Mac, those songs ended up going on those first three records. So this was one of those songs, because I know that if they'd heard it, they would have wanted to do it. Lindsay would have loved this song. I know that, because it was simple. It was right up his alley. And I don't know. I just put it away, and maybe because whatever it was that I was writing about was so secret that I didn't even want to play the song for anybody, because I thought somebody might figure it out.
Okay, I have two questions for you then, because living in Detroit, in the hometown of Bob Seger, and of course Kid Rock and Eminem, and of course the Motown sound, I'm always fascinated by the timeline in terms of writing a song. If you don't really remember that much about the song, you probably don't remember how long it took you to write it, but I am curious as to who was the other person in the song, The Secret Love?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure. I am honestly, and I swear to God.
Do you want to ponder?
I can't even ponder on it, because I am truly not sure. I have a couple of ideas, but I can't tell a bogus story about somebody that, you know, that's going to come back to me and say, excuse me, but that wasn't about me. So I think it's going to have to live in the world of its secret. Whatever it was, I never told anybody. Because had I told somebody, that somebody would have come back now and said to me, I know what that's about.
Can I pretend it was me?
You certainly can.
All right, well, thank you so
much. I could have been traveling through Detroit.
Yes.
And I could have run into you on the street.
I think you did.
And we could have had a visit.
Yes.
And I could have flown away the next night, and nobody would have ever known.
And I would have said nothing.
And I would have written the song. And you would have said nothing, because you would have been honorable.
No, I would have been in tears, though.
Right, you would have been in tears. And I would have been in tears. And it says, like, we've already passed it, I cried. You know, it's like, we already know this cannot work. Because of what? Other people?
Well, I'm
marriage,
not,
another girlfriend, another boyfriend.
I'm not asking forever.
I know. See? And then again, you're not asking salvation either.
Well, I think this is fascinating. A couple of quick things, because I could go on and on about one song, and I know you'd like to do that. I will help you do something, though, that I think is important. The fact that if you would like to get Secret Love, you can get it on iTunes, and you can pre-order the album at the same time and receive Secret Love. So how's that for a little plug? Does that work for you?
That's fantastic.
All right. Now, you're coming to Detroit April 10th, and you're going to be with Rod Stewart. I happen to be walking through, as a morning show host, I happen to be walking into my office watching the Ellen program, and from nowhere, here I am. Here comes Stevie and Rod Stewart. I knew nothing about this. I think you kind of broke the story then.
Right.
Basically, but then all of a sudden I saw you perform with the band, and I'm kind of hoping that most of the members of that band will be the band that we'll see here in Detroit on the Heart and Soul tour. Can we talk about that? Because I'm fascinated by the musicians.
That is my band, and that band, first of all, Waddy Wachtel has been my music director since 1981.
Wow.
And Lindsay and I met him in 1971. So we were friends with Waddy 4 years before we joined Fleetwood Mac. So that's always great, because somebody knew you before the fall, you know, before it all happened. Everybody in the band, the girls have been in the band since 1980. Lori Nicks and my sister-in-law and Sharon Ceylani. And everybody that's in the band now has been in the band for a long. Carlos Rios has been in the band for 15 years. Al, the bass player, has been in the band for a long time, 10, 15 years. I can't even remember. Jimmy has been playing drums, Jimmy Paxson, for probably since 2005.
Yeah, you're going.
So this band is very well rehearsed
Yeah.
and very together. And I mean, we had one day to rehearse Stand Back. And by the way, we probably would have done another song besides Stand Back on Ellen, since the last time we were on Ellen, we did Stand Back, but Ellen wanted Stand Back.
Oh, real? Well, what?
She didn't care.
Yeah, what Ellen wants, Ellen gets, I guess.
She gets. So we just did it again, and she just loves that song. So, and then we got to have a little interview with me and Rod and Ellen, and that was great. And that really was the first time that, Rod and I had actually sat down and really talked, because this has all happened very fast, and he came in to rehearsal one day, did one song, and went home. He's not a rehearsing kind of guy. He knows the songs. He's been singing them for 33 years. This is what he said. I don't need to sing these songs. I'll sing them on stage. So I'm not that way. I rehearse for as long as I can rehearse.
I had the feeling that you guys may co-headline and share the timeline, but from what I'm gathering, you're going to be opening and doing a shorter period of time on stage.
You know what? It's great for me because A, I only have to do 75 minutes, which is nice because I usually have to do almost 2 hours. So it's great, And B, I would, there are bands that I would open for, and there are bands that I wouldn't even consider opening for. Rod Stewart was a big, huge, famous rock and roll star when Lindsay and I moved to Los Angeles in 1971. I was very, very inspired by Rod Stewart. I learned a lot from him. I sang along with him. So for me to, even though people say co-headline, that's great, and yes, that's true, but I am going on first. So in my mind, I am opening for him, and I'm proud to open for him. I'm honored to open for him. He's a big-time rock and roll star.
And what's interesting is that you're emotional, and so is he, because, Maggie May was an anthem for me as a college freshman.
Totally.
And you both have had a mixed bag of emotions, ups and downs, highs and lows. Right. No pun intended either way, even here. But that ought to be, and perhaps a duet or two?
I think we're going to do, I'm definitely going to go on in his set, and I think we're going to do First Cut is the Deepest, and I don't know, maybe Young Turks. I'd like to do an up-tempo song with him, but we have to get together, and I'm like practicing a bunch of his songs, so that I'll be prepared when we get there for our 3-day production rehearsal, so I'll be able to, whatever he comes up with, I'll know. Because like I said, he doesn't really love to rehearse. So he's going to say, let's do this, sing it twice, and it's good. And he's like, if we make mistakes, doesn't matter. The audience loves it. And I'm like, no. I don't love to make mistakes on stage. So I'll make sure that I know the song before we do it on stage in front of 18,000 people.
Do you keep a journal, a book of the songs that you've written somewhere stashed away? Lyrics,
I do.
Lyrics that sort of like you just kind of go back and go, oof. It's that sort of a day that I just want to sit here, because you recorded in your own house, which I suspect makes it a lot easier. Easier
and really fun.
Yeah.
I gave Dave Stewart a book of poetry that had about 40 pages of poems, and that's how we started writing together. Was he just said, well, I like this poem, so let's start with this poem. And I'm like, okay. And we had an engineer, and the tape was rolling, and the fire was burning, and it was, and it was a winter day, and we just wrote a song in about an hour. And that changed the way I felt about songwriting, because I never, ever thought that I would enjoy writing songs with people. I thought it was a very selfish experience that I wasn't open to sharing. And with Lindsay, I used to just leave a cassette by the coffee pot and say, here's the new song, don't change it.
Wow. Now, 2 quick questions, okay, because I know they're going to rush me for time, and I don't blame them, but I've been patient, so damn it, I'm going to ask. You have mentioned Lindsay a number of times. The relationship remains in what state?
Well, actually, Lindsay came in and did a very serious song with me, and I wrote it about my visits to Walter Reed and Bethesda Naval Hospital. And he was so great. We recorded it live, basically, in the rotunda entrance of my house, and we filmed it. And it's heavy, it's It's heavy. It's a song about the soldiers and what happens when they get back from Afghanistan and Iraq.
But what about the two of you?
The two of us were shining, and he.
Do you pine for him at all?
Do I pine for him?
Yeah.
In a romantic way?
Yes.
No, we broke up in 1976.
I know that.
That was right when you and I were having our visit.
That's when I became Secret Love.
It's so true.
But you seem so damn close.
But we are. I mean, we are. We lived together for 5 years, really, as married people, and then before that, we were in a band for 3 years that played, everywhere in San Francisco, and we, practiced every day, 5 days a week. And I went to college at the same time, but it was still 5 days a week. We played 2 days a week. So that's 8 years. So you can't, if we had gone our own separate ways, then we wouldn't still be close now, probably. We'd still be friends. But, we just did 83 shows last year.
Right.
So it's just me and Lindsay now. Christine left, so it's just us.
It's so good, by the way. It's so incredible to see Fleetwood Mac. So that's the final question. I suspect that collaboration will continue.
Absolutely. When this record is run its course, and I've gone around the world with it, then I'll come back and Fleetwood Mac will start up.
You are the very best. Thank you so much.
All right, Motor City. I can't wait.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Neither can I. Thank you, Stevie.
Bye-bye.
You can subscribe to the Ken Calvert Show podcast on Apple iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. It's also available by going directly to www.thekencalvertshow.com. You can reach Ken at kencalvertpodcast@gmail.com. The preceding program is the property of Ken Calvert and may not be rebroadcast without the written permission of Ken Calvert.